Welcome to Commander Pop Culture, a place to gather magical information with some laughs, might I add. Hello everyone, welcome. Today I'm going to be playing my next budget deck. It's Vihaan, the Gold Waker, which I call
the Monopoly guy.
Playing against a Tetsuo Impartial Champion. This guy's kind of unique. You want to make him big so you could get a fun attack trigger with equipment. You can either do damage equal to the highest CMC equipment, or you get to cast an instant sorcery spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the value of equipment attached to them. I got a bunch of lands and a rock. Fortunately, I did draw a Showdown of the Skulls. It's one of my all-time favorite card advantage pieces. Lets you see 4 cards for 4 mana. The rate's just too good. But we're also playing against Zhulodok, the Void Gorger. I actually built a budget list of this too. My list is, I find an affinity creature that costs 7 or greater, and I loop it over and over again with things like Trading Post and or Erratic Portal. I build a lot of unique decks, and I don't think a lot of people see the lines that I design things in. I'd be very surprised if this individual thought of the same thing. Who knows? I think everybody is a good Magic player in their own rights, so I'm just grateful that I'm playing the game with you. And then Hinata is a X-Spell deck where you want to target multiple things and reduce the cost of stuff. I think I'll lead with the tap land for now. They play like these big CMC spells because Hinata reduces it per thing they target with it. So like a good example would be Fireball. For each target beyond the first, Fireball costs an additional. Hinata effectively makes it 0 because of the cost reduction, but there are plenty of other big CMC spells out there that target people that you just don't see the light of gameplay. And Hinata is really cool in that she affords that to people to play. It's just a unique spellslinger deck. I'm drawing things up quite nicely. My Cavern Horde Dragon should be pretty darn good. I imagine the colorless player is playing a lot of artifacts, so hopefully he starts dumping a bunch into play. I can make a ton of treasures for Vihaan the animate into assassins. I also have a follow-up play with Miri. She's got a sweet ability where whenever a assassin deals damage, i.e. your treasures, you get to remove a hit counter from something that's died, and then you make 2 more treasures and draw a card. I think on my next turn I'll play Olivia. I don't need Showdown yet. I still have a very full grip of cards in hand, and it suffers from summoning sickness, so I might as well get it out of the way. Seed Shark's pretty nice. Whenever he casts a non-creature spell, he gets to incubate X, where X is the mana value of that spell. Make a lot of big Phyrexians. It's a little clunky because he has to pay, I think it's 2 mana to flip him over. It'd be one thing if you're flipping over 2/2s, but if he's flipping over like 6/6s, it's worth the mana, in my opinion.
Always know if the juice is worth the squeeze.
There is a lesson. You should not fire off your removal until it's absolutely necessary. The only thing I really want to get rid of is probably the Tetsuo, but he doesn't have it equipped yet, and that could be mana taxing, so I could probably tempo-wise wait a revolution. And the middle and right player haven't played anything really worthy of the removal spell. You need to be very credulous with how you use your removal spells. I see people fire off removal just because it's in their hand. You shouldn't do that. Use it for the things that are going to enable your opponents to win the game, or things that hinder your game plan severely. So I don't see any of that in play yet. I'm not in a rush to use it. And now it's coming down. More interested in dealing with this 2-for-1ing 2 significant things. Yeah, I played that not the best. I should have utilized my mana a little bit better. The only bummer that I have right now is nothing's really died yet. The trigger from Mari doesn't happen until I could remove a hit counter from something. You want the Psalm to die. I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, he still draws. Darn. I thought I denied it for him, but still goes to the graveyard and he still gets the death trigger. I think it's because Mari doesn't say instead. It's not a replacement effect. That's okay. I get to make 2 treasures now and draw a card. I imagine the right player has an answer for Grasp of Fate. They wouldn't have left it under here if they didn't. They got plenty of cards in hand. I have a bunch of mana left up. Guess I'll play my thing and hopefully find a land. Showdown of the Skull. Just to be mana efficient. I don't want to let anything go to waste. I could have waited. Yeah, he's going to counter this. Not bad. He denied me from seeing 4 cards. I would have countered that too, personally. Card advantage is king. Let's share the love. We'll go here. We'll go mid. This Chrome Host Seed Shark's got a big butt. It's been preventing a lot of aggro. Play my land, and then I got plenty of treasures to play with next turn. I definitely have the ire of the table, I think. My previous games, I was not in a position that was in the lead, and I didn't have to deal with archenemy until the very end of my games. This will be the exact opposite. I'll be the archenemy, and we'll see if I can deal with 3 opponents at the same time. I don't have a lot of resources in hand, versus my opponents still got plenty. We got 14 cards between them. He does have the most expensive artifact. He's got a 3-drop, this Reaver Cleaver, so we got to draw in his end step. Okay, so this guy left early, and now he won't be able to help the right and left player out. It increases my odds of winning. Now I only have to deal with 12 cards, and I'm not entirely sure why he left. Maybe something happened. Shouldn't hold it against him because I don't have all the information. And he was in a decent position. Like, he had tons of mana at disposal. He had a lot of cards in his hand. I imagine it's something that required his immediate attention. It's left up to speculation why he left. Okay, that guy's gone, so now it's a one-on-one, I guess. And my deck gets so much stronger now. I could just dedicate all my attackers to one person. It's not ideal for this individual. The Mari is applying triggers to all my stuff, and that's why it's doing this. I have to click yes for everything. Okay, he surrendered. Well, I've been getting a lot of W's with concessions lately.
Hey, thanks for the free parking.
This is a very budget-friendly deck. It's $100 in paper, $10 to build in Moto. The best cards, I think, were Olivia that game. It was just consistently making 1 to 2 treasures per combat, depending on how many players were around and how many creatures I had in play. I really didn't get a chance to show off Mari that well. I got 1 trigger off with her, I guess. Not a whole lot of things had died yet. It's really incredibly hard playing against Mari from a defensive standpoint because it gives all your treasures death touch, and no one wants to trade with the treasure token because it's a 0 investment creature. And then the triggers go on the stack, and I just replace the treasure should they trade anyways, and I get to draw a card. It's just a brutal setup because I could layer the triggers however I want because damage is dealt simultaneously. Something will die, the thing gets exiled, I put the hit counter on it, all the other creatures will resolve on the stack. I get to remove the hit counter. It just sucks to be your opponents when you have Mari in play. Let's see. Some of the suggestions I got from Reddit I really appreciated. Someone was saying I should be playing more aristocrats. I was only playing Marionette Master in the original iteration of this list, but I was like, yeah, it can't hurt because the treasures are creatures and I could sack them post-combat and drain people out that way. It just enables a lot of damage in your post-combat main phase. So I made room for Mirkwood Bats and I made room for Zhulodok Cutthroat. They're just the most mana efficient. When I designed this list, I was challenging myself because I built a Mr. House deck not too long ago, and I didn't think you could build a treasure deck on a budget. To prove myself wrong, I purposely wanted to see if I could do it with Vihaan, and I think I found a really good list for that. Some other tech you didn't get to see, though, was Teysa, Karlov, True Conviction, Angelic Skirmisher. They all enable giving your treasures lifelink, so it lets you play a bare bones creature package. It lets you go shields down because people can't trade with you efficiently. You'll hit people for a bunch of damage, gain a bunch of life. You'll lose some life, but you'll ultimately gain more than you'll lose. So it lets you play with reckless abandon. I got to use my Grasp of Fate efficiently that game. I caused a lot of tempo issues for the Tetsuo player and the Hinata player, and all I did was play 1 removal spell, and that was enough to buy me enough time and I guess make people surrender. So I was off to the races by the time they could recast their commanders, if they even could. It probably was a more deadly blow to the left player because they probably run just Tetsuo as a creature, and a great proportion of their deck is probably equipment, and if you take away the one thing that they can equip, the deck doesn't function. I guess you can make the same argument with Hinata. They are playing with a lot of big, expensive instants and sorceries in their library, and if they don't have Hinata in play, they can't effectively cast those spells. So they're probably playing with a really crappy mana curve, while my deck, they're very mana efficient. You don't need a lot of mana to play the game. It's like that, so if you have to mulligan to 5 cards, you still have a competitive chance.
If you're prepared for the worst isn't so bad.
And I've done that dozens of times on this channel where I mulligan to 5, and I'm an aggressive mulligan type of player. You should, because you get a free one. Going to 6 isn't a big deal, and 5 is like my cutoff. I'll rarely go below 5, but that's the end of the game. Hope you enjoyed. Everyone take care now. Bye.